the Lotus Eaters now is the number one news podcast agency in the UK. That has set the bar so high for everybody else to follow. I expect all our politicians to be liars. I expect all our politicians to be, to a certain extent, untrustworthy. That's the nature of politics.
So I work for a media outlet called Fox Populi, which is Latin for Voice of the People. And we are an overtly pro-Western media company. So we wouldn't necessarily call ourselves news.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's amazing guest is a gentleman who I call a friend of mine, because when I need any tech support and something's going wrong with a podcast, something's going wrong with a program, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, shall I get my hammer out and smash this up? I think to myself, oh, Jonathan Wong. Jonathan Wong knows lots of things. I always then text him and he always gets back going, have you tried this? Get this program, do this, do that. So Jonathan, thanks for coming on my show and thank you for being my unofficial tech support.
Oh, thank you, Nick. You're too kind. You're too kind. Always happy to help a friend.
And when I invited you on my podcast a couple of days ago, I actually put something like, this isn't me asking for a favor this time. Do you want to come on my podcast? I thought every time I message you, I actually want some off you. I want some knowledge or some advice off you. So sorry for always asking stuff.
No, happy to help anyway. So yeah, I'm glad your podcast is doing well. So yeah.
Oh, this last 8 months it's really taken off. I hit 40,000 subscribers yesterday. And 8 months ago, I had about 2,000 subscribers, and it took me 4 years to get 2,000 subscribers. And in the last 8 months, I've jumped up 38,000. So things have really taken off now. My videos are getting out there. Some do great, some not so. But I think that's everybody has that with videos. It all depends on what.
I think like the podcast business is not like a traditional business. The trajectory is like flatline. And once you hit a certain point, it goes up exponentially. So I think you've just hit that. So well done. That's took a long time and hard work.
Yeah, it did. I mean, at one point I was putting out 3-4 videos a day, and most of my videos weren't even getting over 100 views. And then many times I was thinking, I'm jacking this in. This isn't worth my time. I mean, the only thing that kept me doing was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed speaking to people. I enjoyed, thinking, looking online, going, I want to talk to him or her, texting them, and then most of them would say yeah. So I actually enjoyed it, but things have really taken off now. We first met, I don't know if you remember, maybe 4.5 years ago. It was in Manchester City Centre. I was holding a free speech event. You were working for the Lotus Eaters, and I invited Carl Benjamin to come along and speak. And he said I can come, but do you mind if I come and film it? And I went, fantastic, because we're not filming it because we haven't got the equipment, but you can film it. So he came along, and he came along with his tech guy. And of course, who's his tech guy? You was his tech guy. And that was the first time we met. That video did well online. And then I was invited for about a year every month to go on Lotus Eaters. So I drove down to Swindon, hell of a drive. But I enjoyed it. Everybody in the office was fantastic. But I have to say, out of everybody in the office, how do I word this? It wasn't like you were the nicest. You were the friendliest. You were the one who always, and I'm not sure that was just me. I'm sure that's just in your nature. But you always went above and beyond. How you doing? Sit down. Make sure you got somewhere to sit. Do you want a drink? Do you want this? We're filming in a minute, Nick. Are you okay? Do you need anything? You always went above and beyond. And that's what I always remembered about you. You went above and beyond. And I thoroughly enjoyed the interviews I did with the Lotus Eaters. How was your time there?
Oh, it was excellent. I had a good time. I had a really good time. I really enjoyed it. Like even when I left, basically I left because I got a different job offer, which was basically I don't think they could match because it was quite substantial difference. But we left on really good terms. Carl actually threw me in because Callum left at around the same time, and he wanted to do travel videos. In fact, he's looking to go to Iraq next. But yeah, so he's everywhere. Yeah, threw up a really nice party. We all had steak and we got 10 cards as like patriots of the Lotus Eaters, safe journey, Godspeed, etc. So no, we all left in good time. In fact, I saw Carl and the rest of the gang at ARC conference, Jordan Peterson's ARC conference, just in February, and we had a little after party as well. So it was fun. Dankula was there as well. So it was a really good catch up with everyone. So really enjoyed it.
No,
Yeah. So
fantastic.
yeah, no, yeah.
Go on, carry on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna reiterate. No, I had a great time when I was working. I really enjoyed it because I was there from the beginning. So it was like me, it was me and Callum and Carl were the first people that started. So when Carl wanted to go from like a solo creator, because we were working as like contractors for him. He wanted to start Lotus Eaters, so we were his first employed staff. So it was me and Callum. So we built basically we built everything from scratch. Callum was one of the first hosts, other than Carl, and I built the studio. The fun fact, okay, I'm the tech guy, but I learned how to stream whilst I built the studio. And then when we built the next studio, I essentially spent a month sleeping at the office. So after I've done the podcast, up at 5 p.m. everyone leave. I go eat, come back, and then I start building the new studio whilst I'm running the main studio, and basically essentially just lived at the office for a month. And I learned how to use like VMix and everything, like a completely new set of computer. I built everything from because I've got a computer science background. So I built every single computer from scratch. So that's a little trivia.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the old studio. The old studio was lovely. It was what you'd. It was like someone's living room. So big wooden desk and everything like. It was great. But then I turned up one day. You went, oh, we're in the new studio now. Went to the new studio, and that was like something out of the BBC. That looked like a £250,000 studio. Panel TVs on the wall, but I mean, it was 18-foot TV screens. It was something amazing from a really good first one.
I can't take credit for the TV screen because the TV screen is a ready-made product, and I can't take credit for the decoration or the actual building work because I'm not the handyman, although I'm reasonably handy, but I wasn't there. I can only take credit for the computer side of things, like the cameras and the setup and the networking side of things. So yeah, so no, but I think everyone did a really good job because like I can't see anywhere else that without spending significantly higher budget to create anything even close match to it. And I've been to quite a few studios as well. So I think we did a really good job, all the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Lotus Eaters now is the number one news podcast agency in the UK. That has set the bar so high for everybody else to follow. You may get individual podcasters like Chris Williamson, who's doing exceptionally well, but he's a one-man band. I know he's got staff doing, but he's a one-man podcaster. The Lotus Eaters now has turned into an industry. I said at the very beginning when I was watching Lotus Eaters, I wrote about it, it's online somewhere, that I can foresee people working for the Lotus Eaters and then leaving and starting their own things up. It's as if Carl wanted to create a conveyor belt of other people to continue the journey. It would have been very easy for Carl to have gone, this is a one-man band. You all work for me. I'm the star. I may give you some airtime, but I'm the star. And it seems to be complete opposite of that. He gives everybody as much airtime as they want. They run their own series.
Yeah. Not only that, he actually wants to elevate all the other creators because he wants, like, usually he will always poise himself as a guest and the other he's rarely the host, if you know what I mean. So if a podcast has three people, you always get like Harry, you host, or Callum, you hosted back in the days, or so he always elevate them to be the host, so he's just a guest on his own show in a sense, which is quite funny sometimes. I see. Oh, they recently had Stephen Wolf joined them. I think he's like on every Monday. I think I've been seeing him quite a lot. Yeah, so also he's also very good. His knowledge into like some of the legal side of things was actually something they don't have. So I think it's a really good addition.
Yeah, I interviewed Stephen Wolf just after Christmas. Me and him were born and raised near each other. Where we actually know some of the same people growing up as kids, but me and him never met, or we don't ever remember meeting. We literally lived a mile away from each other in South Manchester, and he went to the same school and knows some of the people who are my friends. I just went to a different school. Nice guy, Stephen Wolfe. He always should have been the leader of UKIP when those changes happened, but things happened there. What benefits do you think Lotus Eaters have delivered to the UK? Because it's a class act. What difference have they made?
Well, I think that the main thing that they've provided is that it's not it's not just a news media. So I don't really consider them as news per se. It's quite different because it's kind of it drives a further narrative to how the culture is happening rather than just giving news. And also one of the benefits is because obviously it's on the internet, so it's not yet regulated or Ofcom, so people can actually still talk what they really think. So you don't have to have this false balance that you have to, which is like a stronghold group on the GB News, for example. So Ofcom always find GB News for being too right wing, even though to us would be like, yeah, that's right wing, okay, So yeah, so I think that's one of the benefits of it. So it's actually more, I would say, intellectually nourishing than just news, because the hosts have a lot more in-depth knowledge into certain subjects. So it's not just the surface level that you see on, a lot of other commentators who just talk on a surface level about things. And it's more philosophical, I think. It's more into the the essence of humanity rather than just it's not about policy, it's about the philosophy behind the policy and why people agree with it, rather than no, this is like what a polls is doing, this is the numbers. It's so clinical that I see a lot of people do that I think you lost the meaning of life just by being like, so surface level and clinical about everything. Or actually, I can relate to we can bring that in because you said you joined Reform, so that's like a similar to like the debate in Reform since the Rupert Lowe debacle is I see it as a conflict. I know it's a really weird segue, sorry. It's a conflict between consequentialists. So they say, oh, but we're gonna win. They only care about the outcome. And then you got the denologists, which means you have to do everything right. So these are two fundamentally antithetical philosophies colliding within Reform. So I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but because you got one side who say, hey, we only when you're going to win, you're going to vote for us, even though we do this and that, and the other side say, that's a bit underhanded, you shouldn't do that because that's wrong out of principle. So you got people arguing for Rupert Lowe out of principle, and people arguing for Farage out of expediency. So that's still, and I don't know whether you stand on this because I heard you've recently joined Reform.
I joined Reform a few months ago, mainly because it's the only game in town. I've never voted Labour, can't vote Labour. The Tories are basically slightly better than Labour, so I don't want to vote for the Tories. Are Reform perfect? No. Do I agree with all their policies? No. But looking at the environment at the moment, who would I vote for? Well, Reform have some policies I like, and I'm looking at Reform as the first step on the ladder to change this country. That's not to say Reform will get to the very top and change this country. I treat political parties like buses. I look at the front of the bus. Where's it heading to? Oh, I want to go there. I get on the bus. The second it makes the wrong turn, I get off that bus and wait for another bus. So Reform may take us part of the way. Reform might take us all the way. We don't know. We can't see into the future. But at this moment in time, I'm quite happy supporting Reform because they seem to be going in a direction I want them to go in. Will they take us all the way to my destination? I have no idea. But I'll get off the bus the second it takes a wrong turn.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is a lot of people's already gotten off the bus, and some people are still on the bus. So I think it's a varying degree of people who tolerate how much before they get off the bus. A lot of people got off the bus at the Rupert Lowe thing instantly, and some people hang on for a little bit longer and then got off the bus. I mean, for example, we were talking about Lotus Eaters previously. I mean, we saw the warning signs was remember Bo and Dan from Lotus Eaters? They were removed from candidates for promoting what is Reform's own policies. And I know other people who had the same thing happen to them. And they were bashing on Rupert Lowe saying about deportations, and then now they talk about deportation. So, I think the problem is okay, so how do I put this? Right. So since the debacle, right, I don't personally find any legitimacy of any accusations made against Rupert Lowe. So for me, I see that as an underhanded tactic to remove a rival. So that means on the basis of principle, I cannot support them. So that's where I jump off the bus. Look, that's the point of jumping on the bus. But for some people go, but there's no other options. Then my argument to that is okay, so reform actually dispel that, because reform has shown us no. Okay, so we had 14 years of Tory. Hey, what did the Tories do? Vote for us or you get Labour, right? So that is exactly the same argument that reform is making now. Vote for us or you get Labour. So, but what is that argument? What exactly is towing the line in a philosophical angle? What is it? What is it? What is it then? What do you think it is? What does it mean philosophically?
I don't know. All I can speak on is what I'm thinking. And what I'm thinking is there is no perfect option out there. And it must be better to vote for the least shit party than to vote for the most shit party. So if we can vote for parties that are least shit, that slowly pushes us in a better direction, in the hope that the mass of people voting for that and politicians understanding what people want push us faster and faster and faster. There is no, for me, there is no simple answer.
Okay, so I would make the argument that to say it's less shit implies it's incompetence, but is competent malice. What told the line actually is electoral blackmail. It's basically holding you hostage, saying you got to vote for me. You got nowhere else to go. It's like being in an abusive relationship where you got two black eyes and go, where else are you gonna go? Hey, honey, come back here. That's what it's doing, and I refuse to be blackmailed no matter what. That is the fundamental difference. Because I don't see it as incompetence. I see it as active malice because of the underhanded tactics. It's not they've accidentally done something or they've got a policy that isn't quite right. Is active malice against their own people, their own supporting base. So I can't tolerate that on that basis. So I don't think I cannot give them the charitable interpretation of just simply being incompetently bad. So on that basis, I can't.
So I fully understand that. But the question then is, who do you vote for?
Look, I am the sort of person that voted reform knowing I'll get Labour. And again, I will suffer. Well, I mean, I'm younger than you. I've got longer. I'll take as long as it takes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'll have Labour for another 5 years. So what? We've had it for we had the Tories for 14 years. Why does it matter that now we can't have another 5 years? I don't care. I will not be blackmailed, because I would die on the hill on my dignity than being blackmailed. That's the difference. I'm not criticizing anyone else who make a different decision.
Of course.
Her personal perspective is that's why, because I see it as so before this I said this is not like a reform is okay. It's formed in what is it 2023 or something? It's like less than 2 years old. It's like
21.
20. No, that's Brexit Party, but actual reform registrate as a party.
21 it was.
So no, I know, but it doesn't matter. So the main thing is, right, that is not the starting point for me. The starting point for me is 35 years ago, like when UKIP formed. Because you go remember, I'm friends with Gerard Batten, and I know Farage's PA from his UKIP days. And there's not a single person in the 35 years of entire political history that come out and go, I support him out of principle. The only ever support he has is out of expediency. And okay, so if you want to be a king, you want to be an emperor, what have you got? What do you have to fight for? You have generals, right? Name a general that Farage has after 35 years.
No idea.
Exactly. How would you have no idea? You read the history book, every single king has a bunch of generals who are leaders of men in their own right. Okay? So he doesn't have he has clerks. He has people who are eunuchs and clerks. They're paper pushers. None of them is a leader of men. I mean, what, Richard Tice? You think he's a leader of men? The closest thing they've got, what, Lee Anderson, but that he's like a pit fighter. He's not a general. He'll at the slightest provocation, he'll end up punching someone. So, so it doesn't look so if you look at it in a perspective of building a civilization, you need a leader that can lead. So who is Trump surrounded by? Okay, Trump is surrounded by people who are former Democrats, former never Trumpers. He has won them over. How? Because every time he'll lampoon them and say, he'll be like, oh, little Mark Rubio, he'll laugh at them, but he'll beat them square and fair. So it's like a competition between men. So it's like two young men have a fight and then they go to the pub and have a good time. But if one of the young men stab the other in the back, you have a blood feud. Every single dispute that Farage has is a blood feud in an entire 35 years of his history. I can't see a single person that's from 35 years go, yeah, he's still my guy. Not a single one of them, like literally. But every single person that did that for Rupert Lowe, I've worked with him 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the best boss I've ever had, and everything. And then you're accusing that guy of being the violent one and picked on a 3rd and 8-year-old for a fight. I mean, the 67 doesn't make any sense. So I can't trust him out of principle. Even if he's the best option, he's still not the best option. He's the best. He's the best liar. He's not the best option in my perspective. That's why I'm like, I mean, I don't know.
I expect all our politicians to be liars. I expect all our politicians to be, to a certain extent, untrustworthy. That's the nature of politics. How we manage that going forward, I've got no idea. I'm just trying to play the game that we're in. And
you can play that game, but like I made the right. Okay, so Trump is obviously constantly lying, but why do people follow him? Even though he's absolutely lying, I would have given
But Trump's slightly different because he's already had a term in power, and that term in power, he had no friends. People stabbed him in the back. He couldn't keep hold of staff. He used his 4 years out of power to slowly create a dream team, and he's created an amazing team around him.
Even in the first election, he was always talking shit anyway. Everyone knows he's talking shit, but he's not. He's a liar, but he's our liar because we can feel the sense of loyalty. He loves the country. I can't feel anything for Farage because he stabs his own man in the back. He does, and the problem is all the professionalism and the vetting. What have we end up getting? Everyone is right. So we've end up with what Socialist Workers Party's person getting promoted by him, and you got all the crazy people, like anything crazy on the left. You got people the LGBT agenda now is one like his poster with him. You got broad church. Like I understand about being broad church, right? But what I've seen is broad church to the left, and then you build a wall to the right. Everyone on the right of him is basically unceremoniously removed from the party immediately. But anything to the left, they don't care. So at what point do you absorb so much swamp that you are becoming the swamp? So I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to this podcast turn into like a debate on Farage. I'm happy to move along, but I'm just like I'm sorry for unloading on you.
No, I mean I've put in my vetting application now to stand for reform and next general election, if not a by-election sooner. And we will see if I pass the vetting, and we will see what party they are, because I'm quite controversial. Everything I've ever said's out there. I'm very open. You go on my Twitter, read my books. I don't hide anything. And we'll see if I'm a type of person that they want to stand for reform. And then maybe
I think you'll be all right. I think you'll be all right.
Who knows? Who knows that people have turned down in the past? But then you look at people, councillors they're taking on board who are from the Socialist Worker Party, and it's like you're taking them on board. It's crazy. Now let's leave reform to one side. You mentioned something before about you bumped into the guys at Lotus Eaters at ARC, Jordan Peterson's event in London. What was that like?
Oh, that was really good. I had a great time. I saw Jordan and a quick chat with. Well, Jordan was really tired. So I had a quick chat with Tammy as well. We had a quick chat about Tommy Robinson as well, about because obviously he's in isolation, and that was just after I visited him in January as well. So the art conference in February. Um, but most of the time there I spent on the floor trying to like meet more people and trying to discuss like how do we move forward as as a civilization. And no, to my surprise, people are a lot more based than I give them credit for. Because um yeah, so I also met loads of international people as well from Poland and also from Romania. So I'm networking a lot with them as well, because obviously like how the EU has removed the candidates in Romania who was winning the election and caught basically annul the election, and then now we have another election. So this is leading to me to I'm going to Romania end of the month to because they election on the 4th of May. So I should be over end of the month for conference, and then I'm going to see, and then I'm going to stay there for the first round of the election and see if they have a clear winner. If not, I will go back on the 18th. But also the Polish election is also on the 18th of May. So we've got multiple elections happening. But anyway, so I also met a bunch of French feminists, which I've met once before in London. I saw them at ARC again, and they've invited us out to the International Women's Day because they're formalizing a march. A group called the Collective Nemesis, which is formed by mostly young women who have been sexually assaulted or molested by migrant population. So they are feminists who are also anti-immigration, which makes like really strange combo. So they organized a march on the International Women's Day, which is the 8th of March. So I flew over there with Jess Gill, and we did basically do a mini documentary that's probably going to be out next week or so. Just waiting for some final versions of the editing to be done. It was very interesting because we met a lot of French activists are a lot stronger on both sides compared to the UK, because the UK people are quite milquetoast. Even the Antifa, the Antifa like soy boys. They you can push them over, nobody cares, right? But in France, they don't mess about. They were like near the end of the march, they were setting bins on fire, and there were loads of like overt death threats, like on the wall everywhere to the leader of Collective Nemesis, who was Alice. But she is incredibly strong woman. Like she basically just like, she just shrugs it off, even though it's actual death threats. We at the actual march, because the march is between I would call them left-wing feminists, which is a much bigger group of people, and the Collective Nemesis, which is another subgroup, but they all want to march on the same route. So the police was like, we got police in riot gear. We're like, they're not even just padded armor. They're like actual hard case armor surrounding the women's group to protect them because because of the actual threat. So the main feminists, the main left-wing feminists, didn't want to move along so that Collective Nemesis could move along, so because they have to follow them basically because they're marching on the same route. So it delayed for hours. Yeah, but it was quite a sight. It was incredible. I'm really looking forward to releasing that. On top of that, we also interview some of the local activists as well. So one group, I think it's the natives, which is like the natives basically. They did a little campaign, but unfortunately, because the cathedral on the dates that we went to that they were wanted to do the stunt was closed. They did it a week after, but we already left. Basically, they had one of the cathedrals. They had loads of paintings celebrating with like hijabis, wearing a hijab, and they were like, we got so many French women who are deserving of being celebrated. Why are we celebrating foreigners in our own country? So they went into the cathedral, basically covered it, and then basically just they didn't destroy anything. They just basically covered it and then put posters, pictures of like Joan of Arc and actual French women, historical figures who have contributed to freedom, essentially. I think one of them got arrested. I don't know what happened to him since. Yeah, so it was quite an experience. Also, we asked some of them to take us around Paris, to the worst areas. We saw loads of tents under bridges, but other than the tents, to be fair, not worse than London. I mean, I don't know that what that is saying about London, because London is, it's foreign territory.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, London is a mess. I mean, the UK is a mess, but London even more so. Manchester is a mess now. All the tents everywhere. Now, everything you were saying then, you're doing in your new job. Do you want to tell us who you're working for now and what that agency is?
So I work for a media outlet called Fox Populi, which is Latin for Voice of the People, and we are an overtly pro-Western media company. So we wouldn't necessarily call ourselves news. We don't hide the fact that we're pro-West, and our agenda is that, um, well, we believe there's a story in every human, and I want to make the connection so that news that's happening in any of the countries in the West is relevant to everybody else. Because the globalist agenda is pushing against us, and even something that happens in like a little village in Wales, like a migrant hotel, would actually have relevancy to somebody living like in America or even in like Italy, etc. So I want to join the dots between people and uniting basically like a pen like a pan Western civilizational news media outlet, essentially. So yeah, no, I've joined them in about June last year. I did a bit of consultancy work for them before that for a few weeks. So I joined them for just under a year. So I'm quite happy to have grown some of the channels. Like they were still very small. We were essentially a startup, but yeah.
I was part of a video you made. I think it was end of last year. Harvey from Students Against Tyranny. Are you aware of Harvey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. James Harvey. Yeah.
Yeah, J. James Harvey. He did a documentary on the grooming gangs in Oldham, and invited me to come along. So he did a half-hour interview with me. That should be the documentary. He's released my section of it already. Talking about the work I've been doing over 2 decades on that subject. And they're the stories we need to get out. And that's why we need independent media to get those stories out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because another one of the biggest some of the content that got the greatest views from us, surprisingly, was one of the clips that I made from the Rotham Inquiry 2014. Elon Musk shared that, and they got 20.5 million impressions on X alone, and that was like, wow. So I'm quite glad to be part of spreading what's happening to outside the UK, which is exactly what I'm saying our agenda is to push news that is relevant to other people. I mean, if it's not for like, for everybody talking about it or Tommy talking about it as well, then the people in America would know about these things that's happening in the UK. So they're now Americans because they're so pro freedom, especially they are, especially the right wing side of it, obviously not the not the Democrat side of things. They are basically hyper focused on like MAGA now, like it's becoming a thing, like make Europe great again. So I think there's definitely room for collaboration between all the various countries. You can call it like international nationalists, nationalism, but through cooperation rather than centralization of power.
Yeah, and we have this in wars and in the Second World War. That's why we had the Allies, different countries joining up. And even though this is a war, but it's a different type of war, we need to be joining up and we need to be speaking to people like us in different countries so we can band together because we will be stronger together. And that's what the left has done in the last 50 years. If they've consolidated the left wing view of everything in all the parliaments, in all the assemblies across Europe and the Western world. And that's why we're living in a semi-socialist state, is because that's what they did. And we need to be doing the same and pushing back together. And America is showing the way, and parts of Europe now are beginning to show the way. The UK is just behind the curve on all of this.
Yeah, no, this is true, which is why which is why we got coming up next week, got the Romanian election coming up at the end of beginning of next month, and then there is a Polish election in the 18th of May as well. And Romania, the EU has removed the guy that won the previous election. They announced the election, now they're running another election. So this is like, and they try to do the same thing to Le Pen as well. So just a few weeks ago, it just happens that one of my friend Preston, he was on holiday in Paris with his missus, and the news broke of Le Pen being convicted and banned from running for office. And he basically did the video for us while she was there. It's quite situational, but it's the same thing is happening, which is why the news needs to be heard. It's not just France, it's not just Romania, and then they've done the same lawfare. They've done the same lawfare against Trump before, or the underhand tactics. So there's definitely room for.
Don't forget the ADF in Germany.
Yes, and yes, absolutely, ADF in Germany as well. So yeah, there's definitely something for pro-Western unity that we need. Yeah, definitely.
So what do you foresee going forward? Do you think we're winning? Do you think change is coming? Do you think we're in middle of the fight and we're not going to see any benefits for years to come? Where do you think we are at the moment?
I think we're at an inflection point. I mean, what has happened is Trump has shown us a way that I think the UK is one of the slowest to adopt. It's like you got like Trump, you got Melee, you got even the AFD. I think the unapologetic populists will inherit the West.
Say that again. Let's say that again.
The unapologetic populist will inherit the West.
Right.
But I don't think the UK has the unapologetic. Well, I mean, we had Rupert Lowe, but I don't want to drag back into the reform thing. So yeah, so I think Trump has shown us a way that the not capitulating to the media can work, because people are fed up with the media just as much as they're fed up with the left-wing ideology. So they have basically, he's broken the curse of having to pander to the media. So Trump leads by. So when Trump was on X, or formerly Twitter, everybody followed him on Twitter, and then he went to Truth Social. All the journalists have to follow him to Truth Social to get what he wants to say. So he leads; he doesn't follow. He paved the way, and he doesn't have to capitulate to anybody. And so that's why another thing is Elon Musk is incredible at that, is because how do you bribe the richest man on the planet? You can't. He has FU money. He doesn't have to care. So he doesn't have to care about he doesn't have to care about that anymore. Then he can focus on what he thinks is righteous. And I think we kind of lacking in the UK, like prominent voices that don't capitulate to the media. I mean, that's something that we need. Because like you look at Bukele, you look at Melee, they're like, he's holding a chainsaw. God, we got to get rid of all of these, and he doesn't care what the media is smearing him, or the communist like media is smearing him about. They don't care, but we still caring. So that is a problem. And but we got Starmer in power, which is also a problem, because we got such a draconian speech laws in this country. I mean, we got more people being arrested than Russia on speaking online over legislation that were brought in before social media even existed. So yeah, we have a problem. Which is why I think the great repeal, repealing all of the legislations that were brought in since Blair, since the 90s, was probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have. We have a real shortage of leaders. We have a real shortage of bravery in this country. I rarely see bravery and courage of anyone. All I see is people keeping their heads down, hoping not to get into trouble. And this country never used to be like that. This country used to be a brave country. We were a lot better than we are today. We've just turned into inferior versions of the men that went before, and something needs to change. I think change is coming. And then you talk about Elon Musk. I didn't realize at the time how important it was that Elon Musk bought Twitter. I knew it'd be good, and I knew we'd get some free speech, and he brought me back. I'd been banned for a year or two. I got kicked off with no warning. He brought me back, but I didn't realize until about a year and a half ago how much that him buying Twitter and allowing us to talk online changed everything. It really did. I didn't know how big that deal was going to be.
Not only that, though, it also paved the way for all the other social media companies to slightly loosen it up. I remember back in 2019. So basically, when I first started being political aware, I was like, oh, what is all these street protests about? So I went out on Facebook and just used my phone and recorded a lot of like street protests, like from Tommy Robinson, etc. But in 2019, when Tommy himself was banned from Facebook, I was subsequently banned for about 9 months of the whole year for content that weren't violation of the terms of service at the time when I posted them. I was retroactively banned from it. But now it seems like Zuckerberg has since started doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, getting a bit of testosterone. He's firing all the fact checkers, and now people I see loads of people. I still don't dare do it because my account is cursed. Like I got loads of restrictions on it. When I even do a little bit edgy, I'll just get hit. I see a lot of people are posting Tommy Robinson. They're not getting any restrictions on their accounts anymore, which used to be a violation. So I think it's loosening up a bit now.
And I think a lot of that was down to Trump winning the election.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, even before he won the election, Zuckerberg was in an interview saying how much he admired Trump for standing up even though he was getting shot. I don't know whether you remember that. Yeah. So there's definitely a correlation there. You know, that's why I say like the defiance that he has shown without any like capitulation, inspire loyalty and inspire admiration, and that's what we lack in the UK.
Let's end on the high. Give me something. Give me something that'll cheer me up.
Oh, okay. Well, you put me on the spot here. I mean, my timeline is pretty terrible. So, I don't know. Let me have a think. Something that will cheer you up. I don't know. That's a pretty terrible. You might have to cut this bit out.
What do you think? How's the Romanian elections going to go?
Okay. So I'm going. Okay. So possibly the AUR. I met some of the guys from the AUR, and they are the leader of the opposition there. So it really depends because I don't know how much the EU is going to try to intervene.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will intervene. I'm sure they're doing everything they can. But what are the people on the ground saying? Is there a swell of the populace going, we're sick of this, we're sick of interference? You know, we want to elect our leaders, not be told who can.
Oh yes, I mean yes. Every single country every single country affected by this, as far as I know, are basically pushing back against this. So I haven't been back. I haven't been to Romania before, and I haven't yet. So I can't tell you exactly what's on the ground. But from from communications with the Romanians that I know, is definitely a pushback, as well as also our coverage in France. There was a massive rallies when Le Pen was removed. So we can see everywhere we are pushing back against this. Like the same reaction is like how popular the AFD is as well. So I mean that is some good news in everywhere except the UK. Okay, no, the UK is doing better too. So let's give credit where credit is due, because I think Reform will actually do really well in the elections. The polls came out really well. I just think some of the decisions they made is in my opinion shooting themselves in the foot. But overall, I think they will do exceedingly well in the elections. So that's a plus. Despite my criticism of them, I wish them all the best because I don't think like you said, I don't think there's better alternative. My criticism is that I want them to do better. That's the key component to it. It's not because I don't like I want them to fail. It's I want them to be better than they are. That's why I criticize them. It's it's out of I want them to be better. So I think the good note would be we have reached an inflection point everywhere in Europe. I mean, the US, Trump just won in a landslide, and he's signed mass deportations. He's repealing loads of stuff, like all the trans stuff are getting banned, reverting a lot of damages that has been caused by the Biden administration. I'm not too sure how the terrorist stuff's going to go because that's a bit of a mess. But other than that, he's doing good work, and in Europe, everywhere people are pushing back against this. So I think the right wing is rising again, and I think the left wing, the radical left, is on panic mode. I think even the UK, because Starmer is doing so bad, the backlash against him is going to be pretty catastrophic for him, I think.
Well, we're going to find that out at the beginning of May in a couple of weeks' time at the local elections. I think they're going to be decimated, and then he'll end up being kicked out this year sometime. He won't last till the end of the year, Starmer. The party will, but he won't last. I think the MPs will see how badly they've done and go, right, it's time for a new leader, because all MPs want is to keep their seat, and they can see in that leader that they're definitely going to lose their seats. So politicians will stab each other in the back, and I think Angela Rayner is waiting. There's a big we laugh at her, but there's a lot of people in the party who want her. She's a female. She's working class. She was poor. She's left wing. The unions love her. There's a whole section of people who want her.
Her fashion sense is hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So so just when we think, things can't get any worse, things could get worse. But I want to end on the high. So things are changing across the world. Jonathan,
I think so.
Let's end on that. A nice note that things are changing. The status quo is changing.
For the better.
It can only be a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan, thank you for coming along, and thank you for all the tech advice that I'll be asking in the future.
Thank you, Nick, for having me. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.